Ooh, boy, it is cold. Because it's winter, right? That's how this thing works. It gets colder as you go towards December, unless you're in the southern hemisphere, in which case it's the opposite. But anyway, hello and welcome back to The Lion's Den. I'm your host Matt, as always, and today we're talking about Mario Kart, and I'm gonna make this a bit of a two-parter because this is episode 99, if I'm not mistaken, and that means the next one is episode 100, and I've got something big planned for it. But anyway, I've said but anyway again. I want to talk about my recent thoughts of Mario Kart, and specifically the DLC that came out a couple days ago, more like a week ago now almost. It is fan flippin' tastic. I love it. Honestly, they've revived my enjoyment for the game steadfast to the point where I'm now time trialing. I'm looking at shortcuts. I'm looking at strategies to drive faster and the best combos to have for 150 and 200 cc's. I am well and truly back into it now, and I'm phenomenally happy. Also, just side note before we go fully off the deep end, it loads really fast on Switch. Is that just me? I don't know. I'm so used to Switch games taking forever to load that this one loading in, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds is just mildly impressive to me. So yeah, I've been really enjoying playing it in handheld. My skill is worse in handheld. I don't quite have the angles down for certain types of drifting, but it's still fun, and I love the fact that I can just pick it up and play, and it just works. The music, oh, ever since they started releasing the DLC tracks, and I started thinking, oh, all of them are going to get remade music in the style of Mario Kart 8. And the Mario Kart 8 music is phenomenal, honestly, absolutely phenomenal. So that's been really enjoyable. It's getting to hear new tracks or new old tracks, but with the new music. It's just awesome. And some of the tracks from Tour have banging music. Like, really, they really hit hard and they're really cool. So I'm very happy for that. The visuals in the DLC tracks have certainly picked up quite a bit. They've progressed they've pushed the lighting system, I think, very nicely. They've progressed the textures, and upscaling the models from Tour to the Switch has worked really well. Everything runs buttery smooth. There's no slowdowns or anything. It's absolutely awesome. So that's great. I want to start off by just saying my thoughts on Wave 3 DLC tracks. I think, personally, and the hilarious thing is that nobody agrees with me, 7 out of 8 tracks banging in this list. I've actually pulled it up on my Switch so I can look at them. London Loop, absolutely love it. Obviously, I'm from the UK, but I don't live in London, so I don't really know. It's not like, oh, this feels like I'm actually driving around London. No, it doesn't. It feels like I'm driving around a city, but based loosely on London with, stuff and that. But it's a really good track to drive. I love all the Tour tracks having the multiple routes combined into one, so that's enjoyable. I've been time trialing this one because it's stupidly fun to time trial. The music is high energy and phenomenal, and I love how the track changes over time, and it's just visually really good. So phenomenal track. Boo Lake, thank you so much for finally doing some changes to a retro track. I always thought that when they released some of the retro tracks, I wish they'd made more changes to them to incorporate the new stuff in Mario Kart 8. Boo Lake is an example of that, which I think is perfect. They've thrown in the anti-gravity, they've thrown in an underwater section, they've thrown in shortcuts left, right, and center. It's great, and it looks amazing, it drives really well. Very happy with that one. Also, it looks like they ripped it straight out of CTGP, so that's hilarious, but also awesome. Alpine Pass, or Rock Mountain, depending on where you come from the world. I'm very biased towards this track, I'll be honest. It's a good track to drive. It's not spectacular, but I love it because when I played it originally in Mario Kart 7, I just fell in love with the track. I thought it was great. It was an excellent demonstration of the glider mechanic that was new to Mario Kart 7. It's still really cool in this one. The music's awesome. There is a bit of a skill to the tunnel section as well at the beginning, because again I time trialed this track and learned that out the hard way, so that's great. Maple Treeway, classic, everyone loves it. The song is a banger. The track is slightly simpler from its Mario Kart Wii version, but it's still really fun. It's still a bit of a skill track, and it's visually quite nice. I kind of wish they'd re-implemented the wavy bounce thing at the end, but they took the Mario Kart 7 version instead and just put a glider around. But that's fine. We've then got Berlin Byways, which again is like the London Loop. It's a city track. It's actually more difficult, I would say, than the London Loop because you've got all the cars and you've got to learn the patterns. But the music is like this weird EDM thing, but it's hilarious and fun and it keeps you going. A lot of skill to that track. I think it's harder than the London Loop from when I was time trialing it. But again, really fun, really nice, good layout, visually really enjoyable, and adding things in like the Wumps. Great fun, great addition. Peach Gardens. Ooh, again, they've made some changes that make it slightly easier than the original version on the DS and on Wii, but it's still really fun. It is visually spectacular. I love the sculptures that they added in from the hedges. That's fantastic. And adding in the reverse for lap 3 is honestly inspired, and I really, really enjoy that one. I kind of wish when you do the loop round, they use that section on the bottom left corner, if you're in standard, not mirror mode. It's a bit bland. They put in the Mario Kart TV truck, but other than that, there's nothing there. Like, I think if they'd added in the, whatever you call the moles, or if they'd added in some, like, scenery, that would have been nice. But other than that, it just serves to turn you around and send you back the other way. So there's that. Merry Mountain. It's okay, it's fun, and I like it because it's Christmas, and you've given me a Christmas themed track. It's pretty nice to drive. The downwards slope section does not play well. It's slow, boring, not very good. I think had they done something like DK, is it DK Pass? No, DK Mountain, I think it's called on the Wii, where you have that down section before the 2 hairpin turns. And they added in both the ramps and then the bumpy terrain so that you can trick. Oh, and they did that same thing in Mount Wario. They needed something like that on the downward slope just to make it more interesting because the spin boosters are sparse and do not give you a lot of speed. And going to that bottom glider ramp is not at all satisfying. So that would be my only comment about it, is a little bit boring. And then we come to the one track that I'm not a fan of. Despite what everyone else says. Everyone else thinks that 3DS Rainbow Road is a gift from the heavens. It's a phenomenal track. It's fun, interesting. I don't get it. It's, to me, it is extremely boring. It's an extremely easy track. It's long. It's not cohesive in terms of the visual look of it between the different sections. Yeah, it's like my least favorite Rainbow Road. I would rather play SNES Rainbow Road. There, I said it. Come at me. So, yeah, I think for this set, 7 out of the 8 tracks, phenomenal. 3DS Rainbow Road, honestly, it's fine. It's just, it bugs me because it's not a good Rainbow Road track. I think that's my main gripe. And also, where it is positioned in your progression is it's the last track of the hardest cup, and it's not at all a hard track. It's so easy and it's so boring. So yeah, I think they got a lot better with doing the 3-stage tracks in Mario Kart 8, which I mean, it makes sense because it was the second time around, but yeah, kind of wish they didn't bring that one back, but whatever. All good. Apparently, as I've seen today, they've rebalanced the game slightly, so now the acceleration stat reduces how much invincibility you get if you get hit. Apparently, the more acceleration you have, the worse amount of invincibility frames you get. Don't know how that works or if it's going to make a huge difference, but apparently does it affect anything else, or at least they haven't found it. This change affects anything else, so we'll see how that goes. I've really been enjoying time trialing as well. I alluded to that. I mentioned it a couple times. Time trialing is a completely different beast to just playing cups. Playing cups is no problem for me. It's fun, it's entertaining. Obviously, it's item and luck based, so there's all of that. Time trialing is all down to you, all down to your skill and your ability. And yeah, I have a lot of ability kind of lacking in that area. I know how to soft drift. I know empty hopping, although I'm not very good at consistently empty hopping. I know most of the shortcuts, but I'm not very proficient at them, which is why I started time trialing to learn them. And also, I just wanted to learn the routes that are most optimal to drive, because that will then help you in normal racing. Obviously, there are some things that you can't take because you need mushrooms, and if you're in first place, you ain't getting a mushroom. But, time trialing is definitely helpful, especially just because even if you don't get anywhere near to the world record, just seeing what they do, seeing the routes they take and the strategies they use, you can probably implement some of them and end up getting a really good time. What did confuse me though is that some of the Nintendo the Nintendo Ghosts that you can race against that are supposed to be sort of, here's the overall average benchmark as to what people are doing on this track. Some of them on 200 are really hard. Like, you've got a bell curve. And if you're not familiar with a bell curve, it basically just shows a distribution of a data set. So in this case, you've got a distribution of where the most times people are getting either slow, fast. And generally, everyone's going to sit somewhere in the middle. The Nintendo ones are kind of sitting more towards the upper end of the fastest people. And I'm sat there looking at it thinking, why? This is so ridiculously hard for just an average person to try and beat the Nintendo ones because I have to drive really well. So that's a bit annoying. But I think it's one of those things where the combo helps specifically for each track and then just practice. I found when I switched from playing portably to playing on my TV with my Pro Controller, I instantly jumped in ability because I'm much more used to using a Pro Controller and getting the precise angles for specific drifts and doing certain techniques. So, good stuff, good fun, would highly recommend, and hopefully, if I can get everything set up, I'll be talking to you next week with something a little special. So, anyway, I'll see you all later. Bye!